Welcome back to the Arise interview, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the stories. I'm Charles Aniegolu. Now, after the trauma and the tribulation comes the recovery. But it's not yet party time for the People's Democratic Party in Anambra State, having resolved the crisis over who the valid candidate is after the Court of Appeal came out in favour of Valentine Ozigbo. The PDP, still a party divided, still in political wilderness in Anambra State, today inaugurated a national campaign council in Abuja led by the governors of Abia and Delta states, Okezie Ikpeazu and Ifeanyi Okowa, and supported by the former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, the Senate Minority Leader, Engineer Abaribe, and former Minister of Aviation, Osita Chidoka. The council has 179 members, and it follows the inauguration of a state campaign council in Anambra State. So is the crisis now well and truly over, or is it still simmering?
Gratitude to God for this humbling experience that I sit before you today. I am thankful to the Almighty God who made this possible. I'm also thankful to our dear party for giving me this platform, which I know I will not disappoint you. I'm thankful to the members of the National Campaign Council for accepting to serve, and side by side we were marching to victory. I'm thankful to the members of the State Campaign Council led by My Excellency, the Senior Senator Uche Kunife. I'm also thankful to the people of Anambra State for considering me worthy to be of service to them. I'm here to also make a pledge that we will put in everything we have to ensure we regain the lost glory in Anambra State. And PDP will take over Anambra this year by the grace of God. I'm also here to make a pledge that not only are we going to win, but we will do our best to ensure not just the dividend of democracy, but we ensure that we set a standard in governance with Anambra State. Anambra people, if you're listening to me today, your victory is here.
Well, for more on this, the man you saw in that video joins me now in the studio, Valentine Ozigbo, governorship candidate for the PDP in Anambra State. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Charles.
So your political travails, are they now over? I mean, you went through the fire for a while, didn't you?
It could be true to say that, but you know, there's something I actually want to leave here with. Today, former Vice President and also former candidate of the party at the presidential level, Atiku Abubakar, said something remarkable. That for the first time, he has never seen PDP this united. That's remarkable. Because I don't want us to go with a narrative of a divided PDP. No, that's actually not true. We have one party, one national body, one state body, one primary, monitored by one INEC, and one candidate. What actually happened was just somebody else who went to conduct a quasi-primary in his own separate, I don't know what to call it, and then saying, I'm now the candidate of the party. No, you're not the one to say you're the candidate. It's the party that said, you are our candidate. Have you ever heard the party say that? No. So the entirety of PDP Governors Forum, 13 of them, saying we have only one. The entirety of National Working Committee, there's only one. The entire BOT, only one. The entirety of NEC, there's only one. And that's why I go around, I even attend Governors Forum on invitation. Have you ever heard or seen the other person even campaign? No, it's not a divided party. It's just a distraction, with due respect.
Right.
But what we'll try to do is to, even for that, we are pleading, come back to the fold. You don't need to do this.
Well, I mean, if it isn't divided, then you don't need to plead, do you? I mean, they'd be there in the first place.
No, see this, party is of interest. People have differing interests.
Yeah, of course.
And so we want to align along a common interest, not where you bring your personal interest. So that's the plea. keep suspending your personal interest.
But I mean, there are still a number of court cases pending, aren't there? I mean, instituted by people unhappy with the conduct of that PDP primary election, arguing that it didn't comply with the statutory requirements of the PDP's constitution.
Again, that's not true. People go to court for different reasons. And if you actually would, this person came into the arena, subjected herself, for instance, in the case of Genevieve Ekwochi, subjected herself to the process, was there. And then the chairman of the council, of the committee, is there anybody here who has any reason? Nobody. And then we started the process. The freest, the most transparent, Arise covered it, other channels covered it live, and it was being adjudged as the freest and most transparent in the history of PDP. And I was declared winner. You came to me and you hugged me, and then you left. And you started going to court. For what reason? So
well,
please,
I don't
when
know.
you see the person, find out whether in court.
Yeah.
It's not because PDP did not comply. No. That's why the appeal court came out. I said to INEC, it's not just about Valentine being the candidate. There was a landmark judgment there. INEC, you went to this primary on invitation. It was only primary you went for. And here is your monitoring report. And you said, you saw this man declared. So why would you allow this distraction to, basically affect your process, your functional duties? And in fact, this is landmark because now no longer are you going to have INEC obeying the foreign court judgment. No. Allow them to do what they want to do. When finally the apex court, the Supreme Court says it's no longer the candidate, then that's when you take an action.
But that stuff must be so debilitating. I mean,
extremely. As a matter of fact, this is why we make the plea. The plea is not about they were right at some point. No, it's about you are distracting us.
Absolutely.
All the time I should spend engaging my people, the Anambra people, in campaigning. I'm using that running around from one court to another. It's a waste of our money, our time, our resources. And please, you can't keep doing this forever. Change for good, especially when you have such a fresh and momentous opportunity. PDP has never had this good. And again, just like Awaziri said, this is the best time for PDP in Anambra State. And the only way we can actualize it is when we are declared winner.
Well, obviously the other
November 6th.
parties would dispute that it's the best time for the PDP. But I mean, you can say now that your sights are set firmly on the November the 6th election. No more internecine combats, no more ambitious opponents within the party to fend off, as it were.
As a matter of fact, you're correct. But before I go into that, you mentioned the other party. Let's talk a little bit about the other party. There are about 18 parties, but in all, really, there are three major parties we want to talk about: PDP, APGA, and APC. Take time to check what is happening. On one of the camps, APC in particular, there was no primary. There wasn't. In fact, if you check the INEC monitoring report, it says that as at 5 p.m. on the day, they waited, but nothing happened, we went home. And so they are claiming that, we did the primary after you left home. So Anambra people know there was no primary. And so how could you have legitimacy when nobody elected you? So that's a crisis brewing on its own. If you come to APGA, it's been one chairman after another. Three candidates. We don't have such. We have never had a case of who is the chairman of PDP. No, it's been one. Even if there are issues around the national now, it's not about multiple people claiming titles to the chairmanship. So the point I'm making is you can't compare PDP with any of these other parties. But all that is over now. For now, our eyes are set on actually the campaigning. We want to go straight to the grassroots. We have lined up a number of things we want to do. We're going to be engaging at the local government level. We will start talk of 21 local government level from Tuesday next week. We hear there may be another seat at home. If that be the case, we'll shift it to Wednesday. And we'll cover about 3 local governments in there. We'll start off with Oka South, Oka North, and eventually Njikoka. And then we'll move to Anambra North.
Right.
Cover that and then come back. So the intention is to deepen our play at the grassroots. And then for those who are also saying they're going to be able to write or rig, that's bullshit. It's not going to happen. The reality is that this election, voting will count, and the counting will be there, and we're also going to be there to protect the mandate. And so it's also a way of passing this strong message that we need to get our people energized and mobilized because we want them to come out. And God help us. The party that the Anambra people accept today is not ABGA, it's not APC, it is only PDP.
Right, okay, let me just quickly jump in there because you used the word BS there, which we really shouldn't put out in at this time of the day. So my apologies to the viewers for that, but I don't think you meant anything bad by it. But you also mentioned the sit at home. I mean, and the IPOB sit at home. I mean, clearly that is a big issue for you because, I mean, if you as a party are sort of hamstrung by a group that's been prescribed by the government, that's a big challenge.
It's a big issue, but I like to look at things dispassionately and also comprehensively. The question here is, why are we where we are today? What we are suffering from is actually consequence of bad leadership. There's nothing that differentiates us from the rest of the world, if not for bad leadership. And so when people start to react out of the symptoms, it's important to always go back to the root cause analysis. The only reason I could leave my comfort zone to get into this because you can't change things from the outside, it's only from the inside. And so I understand what is going on, but I can't give up. The only way to do is come back and show people hope, the future. By the time they start to see progress, there won't be any discussion about sit at home by a group. No, they'll be part and parcel of the process. And guess what? They will be proud of what Anambra will become. And there will be, so what I'm saying here is a challenge to leaders. Wake up, do the right thing, bring the true dividends, and you gain the confidence of your people. Right now they're agitating, and they have reasons to agitate, and those reasons are credible. So, but I may not agree totally with the approach, but we need to stop the things that will make them agitate in the first instance. And that's what I'm actually here to plead. And that is why I'm here to serve. I actually want to show what is possible with governance. And honestly speaking, you're not a foreigner, you're here. We all should be ashamed of what Nigeria is today, honestly, and Anambra in particular.
Now, this is your first shot, your first entry into Nigerian politics. I mean, it's been quite a brawl, hasn't it, as you mentioned there. What have you learned from that scrum that you might share with people who want to follow your footsteps into Nigerian politics? I know you're not at the end yet.
I'm so happy you've asked this question. The reason is, when people ask me, why are you doing this? Why are you in politics? Do you want to be governor? There are multiple reasons. I said to them, I want to use Anambra as an example of how we can change the story of a black man in the world.
I want to be a powerful man and crush all my enemies.
No, that's not the reason. So I want to set a new standard in governance. Why do I think so? Not because I know everything, no, but I'm certain that there's nowhere we will get people of like minds together, putting us in a room. We're not leaving this room until we find a solution. And then we'll start executing those fiercely and things don't change. It's not possible. We've done it in the private sector, we've done it in banking, in communication, in hospitality. It should be possible in governance. And again, when we succeed, I want to be able to, also together with some other like-minded, inspire more professionals into politics. And I want them to come and sit down and say, how did you achieve it? And there are clear classical examples. I like what Shea Makinde is doing. I like what Obaseki is doing in Edo. These are all people who came from the private sector.
Right.
When we have collective, governance in different parts of Nigeria, whatever they do at the center, at Abuja, it wouldn't matter. At the regional level, we can galvanize the change we're looking for.
Right, okay. Please stay with us. We want to talk with you a little bit more. You're watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead as we continue our chat with the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Anambra State, Valentine Ozigbo. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Arise interview. I'm Charles Onyegolu. Now, as you might have heard at the outset, there have been more twists and turns in the contest for the PDP governorship candidate for the Anambra State election in November than a neurotic pretzel. But that convoluted trajectory now appears to have ended in favor of Valentine Ozigbo, who's been declared the validly elected candidate by the Court of Appeal. Beyond the damage inflicted on the PDP's chances in that governorship ballot by this internecine political warfare, Valentine Ozigbo and his supporters remain optimistic, setting their sights on the main event in November, with the party leadership rallying around him and today inaugurating a national campaign council following the state campaign council. But there are yet more challenges to come as the battle lines between the competing political parties are drawn. And Valentine Ozigbo, governorship candidate for the PDP in Anambra State, is still with me in the studio. Thank you for staying with us.
Thank you again, Charles.
Now, let's talk about President Buhari's visit to the Southeast today. Ohaneze Ndigbo says it's a good opportunity to meet up with President Buhari for the people of the Southeast. Do you consider it a good opportunity in your assessment? You're from the opposition.
It's an interesting question. Obviously, today has been the most topical subject. Reality is Mr. President is our president, and so I have tremendous respect for constituted authority. And but clearly, his visit is not without controversy. So you're going to be seeing people talking from their own perspectives. And what I usually do in life is I don't look for who to blame when I see things happen around me. I do what I call introspection and see how things can improve by actions I need to take myself. Taking responsibility is one show of leadership. And so when things like this are happening, what I would like to urge our president is to do a bit of introspection. Why do we have this controversy? Some are happy you're coming, some are not happy you're coming, some see it as a good opportunity, some don't see it. It's again back to the point I was making earlier, which is we do have problem. We do have serious problem. Nigeria isn't working well. It's not working well at all. And you know, when I was in the private sector, and even when we've got into the apex of our performance, we still do monthly and quarterly and periodic review to see how do we get better and get better. But how much of that do we do? Just to think of how to fix Nigeria. We're debating whether to restructure or not. What a country. Something that's not working, you're debating what to do with it. We do need to restructure this
That's
country.
a very good point.
And I can go, every other thing is the consequence of bad leadership. You see, which index do you want to mention? Is it poverty? Is it unemployment? Is it infrastructure decay? Is it the dollar rates? You can't do any business today in Nigeria where you import anything and produce locally, sell locally, and make money because of the dollar-naira parity. So the point here is Nigeria isn't working. And when you begin to see people agitate, there's a reason, there are credible reasons for them to agitate. So I want him to do a lot of introspection. What changes would he need to make before his time is over? So I would love him to go with a better legacy than what I'm seeing today. So it's good. Let him go to Imo State. Let him be received there. But let him listen to what people are saying for those who will brace up to it, because I know a lot of people boycotted this. And again, I want to see a better Nigeria, and I want to have our president lead us better. Thank you.
Okay, and in terms of that leading better, the appeals court, when you were in court, I know you probably don't want me to dwell on that, but I just want to mention this point, was very critical of lawyers who it said helped in the abuse of court process, and also criticized politicians who it said came up with aberrant parallel primaries. And also it took on INEC, who it said should wait for the decision of the appeals court. You mentioned that previously before publishing the names of candidates. So some pretty scathing criticism there of the political process.
You know, what I love about the judgment from the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Mason, is, like I said before, it's actually landmark. You know, we've always known judiciary as the last hope of common man. At some point, you start to wonder what is going on here. If there's a problem in every other sector, it shouldn't be judiciary, because that should be the pivot where those problems can now be resolved. But when they become part of the problem, then we are in crisis. And in most cases, they are part of the problem. But thank God we still have some sanity, even in the midst of insanity. And so for her, my respect for her is she set a tone, and I'm also thankful to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, who also has been lashing on judges. I know a number of them are going through disciplinary process now, and they do deserve to be disciplined, because you can't continue like this. How do you wake up somebody who was not part of a process, part of primary, wake up someday and say he is now the candidate of the party? How do you do that? How do you abridge a court matter case that should last for 180 days into 8 days? And you use torchlight deep into the night. How do you seize a case file and preventing the other person from going on appeal? How do you do things like that? And they go without consequence.
It's very demoralizing.
No, it's terrible.
I have to say. But so, now you're entering the second and perhaps all-important phase in this process, which is selling yourself, your candidacy, and your vision to the voters of Anambra State. Tell us about the issues that will underpin your campaign briefly.
Very well. You know, if you go around Anambra State, we have 21 local governments. I visited in some cases 7 times, and when I do visits, not just a jamboree, I ask salient questions. What do you want from your next governor? Let's even understand it is not good enough to sit in the comfort of your home and design a strategy, a vision. No, you've got to make it people-oriented. What do they want? You know what shocks me? Not so much. If you can fix roads and fix security, they'll say, you'll be the best governor. And I said to them, I can do far better than this. So whereas we can fix roads and fix infrastructure, fix education, fix hospitality. Now, in doing this, I've articulated a number of things in our program, in our vision, in our mission, in our manifesto, in our blueprint. We have different things we want to do. But the only way to get things well organized is to make sure you think through it carefully and talk about the execution. So we want to take on Anambra governance in 3 phases. One is what we call cluster approach. How do we cluster certain things together and enjoy what we call economies of scale? If you want to fix power all over Anambra at once, you may not. But if you can cluster where the need is most important, and you deal with it there, and you cluster another place, and if you treat things like that, before you know it, Anambra Achawapo in our mantra, Anambra will blossom. And so in the clustering, we have 5 clusters we want to focus on. Onitsha being the commercial hub can be truly commercial hub. And what you need to do may not be a lot. Just clean up Onitsha. Let discipline come back there. Let law and order abide.
Right.
Not where things are happening in such a haphazard manner. And fix the utilities, the water system, the lighting system, and let people say, I am proud of Onitsha.
Yes, and they're getting the dividends.
And raise the level of competitiveness.
Right. Okay.
If you move on to Nnewi can be the industrial hub, Anambra can be the processing hub for agriculture, and the capital can be a true capital where education.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be more time to get more deeply into this. We've got about 40 seconds left. You've come out of a bruising sort of contest. Do you expect that the election proper is going to be like that, set against the backdrop of the incumbency of APGA in Anambra State and the APC's control of the presidency on the national level? You've got about 30 seconds.
I am very optimistic. This election is going to be free and fair, and voting would matter, and the people's voice will be respected, and I will be the choice of the people.
Okay, Valentine Ozigbo, the governorship candidate in Anambra State for the People's Democratic Party. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's it for this edition of The Arise Interview. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja and around the world, bye-bye and thank you for watching.